Someone has done it again! It's done! It's Georgie Kelly!
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk, the Rotherham United podcast, and defeat. First defeat this season, this time away at Stevenage. We're going to have a bit more of a deep dive. We had a quick chat yesterday, me and Mick, about the defeat. We're going to have a bit more of a calmer look, maybe. I'm calmer, even Mick might not be. Over the next hour or so. You'll have to excuse the background noise near a road. Mick's not. How is Mick doing?
I'm all good, mate. Thank you very much. All good indeed. Thank you very much for asking. Did I repeat myself then? I did, didn't I?
Probably.
Yeah. I might do that again later.
That's not unlike you. And Sam's back. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate.
Top stuff. And in theory, Danny's with us. How is Danny doing?
In theory, I'm doing well.
Good start.
Stay in theory then.
Right, stay in theory.
It's gone better than on Thursday. So we've got loads of people with us. Thank you in the comments already. I will go through some of the Martin Holland's with us, YouTube user Andy's with us as well. Loads of people with us. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Mick, we'll start with. We're going to go into specifics and general stuff, but Tom did two contrasting comments on it already. Tom Swift says, "Evening all. Signs of relegation scrap. Come poor recruitment will be our downfall." Harry says, well, one last in 2 games into the season. I'm sure we won't overreact. And that's kind of the season. That's where we are at the minute, Mick. Where I know where you're going to. I know what you're going to say. I'm going to ask you anyway. Where do you sit on where we are after 2 games?
I don't agree with Tom. That's just my view. I don't agree with him. I don't think we'll have anywhere near a relegation scrap. The overreaction to this defeat has been quite something, hasn't it? When you look through social media, it has been quite something. And I'm not easily shocked, but I am quite shocked. I'm not going to lie. I don't understand. I don't. With 2 games into a season, having had a pre-season and a closed season and then a pre-season, where just about everybody was saying we need to give it a bit of time. We've got to work at this. It's a complete rebuild. We've ground up all this sort of stuff. We need to give it a bit of time. And then the first time we lose, and it's a bad performance. We'll come on to that. I'm not dress it up. The first time we lose, people are completely losing their heads. And I'd like to say I don't understand it. I do understand it, and because I know the situation. I know why. But it's just mad. It's absolutely bonkers. It was a poor performance, absolutely. Against, we'll go into it. I've upset a few Stevenage fans on post-match against a poor side. But we were poorer. Yep. You know, but 2 games in, come on, just pull yourselves together a little bit. Come on.
Yeah,
big boy and big girl pants on.
Yeah, and we said at the start of the season, Danny, that we're not going to be one. We could try not to be on this podcast this season where we're constantly looking for the longer term picture and constantly looking ahead. But I'm same with Mick, really. I'm surprised of the reaction when we were all of the similar vibe of let's just chill out. Let's just watch these young players develop. And like Mick says, the first time they've not played well. Right, you can count the second half last week, but we won. Peter, they've been jumped on a little bit, and I am surprised at the reaction.
Oh no, I am as well. It's as if after last season we expected an instant right. We're going to spank every team 4-0 sort of vibe. But all you need to do is look at the second half against Port Vale. We are capable of just not gelling completely, and we didn't gel in the first half against Stevenage. We didn't gel completely in the second half, but better than the first half. And I mean, I was speaking to a Doncaster fan about it, and even he says, I'm not looking at the league table until at least 10 games. And I think that's what we have to do. This team is on a rebuild from last season, both player-wise and I think mentality-wise as well, because Matt Amshaw came in for a few games and he more or less straight away got them playing completely differently, and that was with mentality alone. Whereas now they've got a new system to learn, that they've had pre-season to get the rough idea of, but in competitive sense, they still have to keep going with it. And that will come with time. And yeah, we've said we give managers time in the past, but this season it's a young squad. They're getting together. New captain as well, who I think is actually the right choice for the captain. I know I've not been on the show for a bit, but I'll chuck me 2p in. Rafferty is the right pick for the captaincy. And we just need to. I know it sounds bad, but we just need to play this season by ear, because it's a rebuild season. If we finish 12th again, but there's an improvement playing wise, then we're happy. My prediction is a bit higher than that, but I will also be happy with that. We're not going to be pushing for automatic promotion this season. That's why no one's mentioning the P words in the camp. But the Stevenage game just goes to show that it can be really good, like the first half against Port Vale, or really bad. And it's now Matt Amshaw's job to find the in-between where we can keep cracking on this season. Are we going to be relegation threatened this season? No. And you can clip that. No, we're not going to be relegation threatened this season. If we have an absolute stinker of a season, the lowest we'll finish is 17th, in my opinion. We're not going to get relegated this season. It's silly to talk about that after 2 games. Have we been beaten 4-0 every week? No. We've beaten one team 2-1, where the second half was shocking, and we've narrowly lost 1-0 against the Stevenage side that wasn't the best, but knew exactly how to exploit our weakness, which was balls over the top into the 6-yard box, which we'll get onto shortly.
Yeah, we definitely will. We had a comment here from Phil about comparing it to Steve Evans. Phil says, to be fair, this is the kind of reaction that the previous manager endured, Sam. And I don't think that's there's 2 things. First of all, I don't think that's fair. I think I remember the second game last year with a 0-0 draw at Bristol Rovers. Everybody was really positive. We'd lost to Exeter, which was terrible. It was kind of the reverse of this season. And I think everybody still had time. I also, secondly, I don't think it's particularly positive. I don't think it's productive to keep comparing things to, Steve Evans got abused last year. Why don't we just look forward at what we've got now and stop worrying about last year? I don't really get that comparison. I don't think it helps anybody, to be honest.
No, I don't get it either. And I've seen that kind of takes up the whole Twitter timeline, doesn't it? All the kind of the Evans supporters, which is it's a clear divide now. Since Hampshire come in, it's a clear divide. And they were saying, well, Evans didn't get enough time, X, Y, and Z. And I can't remember ever this much backlash from losing so early on in the season. And I put it out yesterday, apart from Huddersfield, I can't think of any other teams that are playing are smashing it at the minute. I know Donny have got 2 wins, but Huddersfield have been winning consistently. No one else have. Cardiff drew to Wimbledon. The fans might be having a meltdown, but I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it at all. Yeah. If we're 20 games in and with no improvement whatsoever, I could understand it a bit, but not now, not after 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. Let's go through some more comments. Paul Ross says, definitely room for improvement. Len was heard man of the match. Is going to be a real asset. Today from his brief spell on the pitch made him look Clark Harris look like Ronaldo. RUFC says, Guru, how dare this young squad fail? Yes, more effort was required. I talk about how an overreaction. Paramount says, evening all, remember Warren had some problems, things will improve. And again, to go back on what I just said, when Evans was successful first time around, the first run of games was not very good at all. Do you remember Port Vale away? Anybody out there remember Port Vale away? God.
Man City of League 2.
Absolute pumping. So these things happen to successful managers, and we put the post out yesterday about the last time we won back-to-back games at the start of the season was under Andy Scott, which turned out to be a dreadful season. So it's just a matter of chilling out at this stage of the season. That doesn't excuse the performance, does it, mate? Because that performance was well below the standards that Matt Hampshire has talked about post-match. That performance was below the standards.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely, it was. From start to finish, really. We had maybe a brief spell towards the back end of the game where we kind of got a foothold in it. But for the rest of the game, we were just poor. We couldn't keep the ball. There was no movement. There was no movement off the ball, so there was no out ball. It was very, very poor. So it's very difficult to think of anything else to say about it, quite frankly. I'm sure that the manager and his team will be just as annoyed and frustrated as everyone else is. And I'm sure the players will be, but they've got to look at themselves. They've got to pull themselves back up and, well, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Start training. Do your job, for God's sake. Yeah, listen, it was poor. Really, really, really poor. I don't know what else to say.
That's good that we've only got an hour to kill. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'll see you later.
Let's talk about we'll talk about sort of lineups now, Danny. Sean Raggett comes back in for his first start in. I genuinely can't remember. It might be this year. No, it was Bradford in the Cup. I think Bradford or Chesterfield in the Cup. So when was that? January, February time. That's a good thing that Sean Raggett's back. We'll talk about his performance in a minute and his contribution to the goal. But to have someone like Sean Raggett back when Zach Jules was suspended, that was interesting and brave, to be fair. From I'm sure to chuck him back in, having not played for so long, it's brave. And he played 90 minutes, so to a certain extent, it did kind of pay off.
Yeah, I think over the course of the 90 minutes, excluding his part in the goal, but we'll talk about that in a minute because, in my opinion, there's a number of failings that led to that goal. But anyway, to say he's been out for a long time, just got back to match fitness, probably within the last 2-3 weeks has been involved in first team training over the entire pre-season. He's put in a good shift, if I'm being honest. And it is good to have that big centre half character, which I think you need in the back three. But I also think it was kind of enforced because obviously Jules is suspended. So it was nice not to have a red card in this game. But I think, what's the young lad's young centre half called from Celtic? I've forgotten my names.
Lenny.
Yeah. So he got pushed out to the left of the back three. And I think he wouldn't really have suited the centre half role. So that's why he's brought Raggett in. And yeah, he's put in a good showing. It's good to see him back. It's good to know that he's match fit and that his knees aren't completely made of glass. And I think, barring any absolute howls of injuries, I think he may actually end up having to start against Salford on Tuesday, just because of where we are. But also, with Raggett coming in so soon and not having chance to bed in at the end of the game or only have, say, 60 minutes on the pitch, the fact he's been forced to do a full 90 just goes to show how short we are. And maybe it's Matt Hamshaw's trump card of giving something a nudge to go, come on, we need another centre half. Look how bare we are. It takes us one injury or a suspension and we're in, sticky stuff. But overall, he's done well. He was according to FootMob anyway, he was our second highest rated player on the pitch that day, just behind Joe Powell by 0.1 of a point. So he's done well, apart from the goal.
Yeah, well, I thought Joe Powell had a bit of a stinker for his own stance, to be honest. I did see those ratings and I questioned it a little bit. Anyway, Thomas Smith says, unfair to blame Raggett for anything after being out for so long. When he up to speed, he would head away the cross for the goal, no problem. Steve said he thought Raggett and Lenny were two of the few positives, along with Yearwood. We'll come on to the substitutions. But Sam, let's talk about the goal. There's plenty of blame to go around, as we said in the interaction yesterday. The cross should never get back in. Hall was out of position. Rafferty didn't close the man down. And then, Sean Raggett's got to do better than that against somebody of Jimmy Reed's size. And I don't put any blame on Cam Dawson. I think he's seen it late, but some people want to blame Cam Dawson as well. It was just a mess, really.
Yeah, he should have got there in first place. Like they said on commentary, it was slow motion. Everything about it was slow motion in terms of the power. Just sent I didn't seem like there was no power, and then Dawson's reactions as well. But yeah, Raggett. See, I was a bit critical of him last season because he didn't have really, apart from his aerial ability, he didn't have much going for him personally. So you'd expect him to win that, but he didn't. But then I can't fault the rest of his performance. I was surprised, to be honest. He did play a lot better than I imagined he would, especially after being out for so long. The other thing is, they were playing a game, weren't they, in terms of falling down up time and we were picking up bookings left, right, and centre. A part of me thinks we're in back of the minds, especially when they're getting closer and closer, to not touch them because they're just going to go down. Referee's going to give a free kick every time. A part of me thinks that was the reasoning because referee were giving them everything. So the damned if they do and the damned if they don't. Because if Denzel or someone comes in before Cross comes in, they'll give a free kick anyway because they'll drop down. As long if it's missed time. So yeah, there were a lot of faults, but at the same time, referee didn't help the situation.
No, we'll come on to it, ref. The only thing he got right was when Raggett cleaned out their man and he got a booking for it. That's about the only decision he got right.
That should have been a red card, that, compared to the Paul Bale one.
Yeah, terrible, darling, terrible. Having said that, I am here for that kind of thing. Mick, you're not Sean Raggett's biggest fan. I know that. But other than the goal, let's give him some credit where credit's due. He's been out for 6 months. Other than the goal, he didn't do anything wrong. And to be fair, we didn't like conceding, to be honest with you, other than that. So I think there's going to be credit given to an extent that we didn't look like getting, although they were the better team and deserved the win, we weren't conceding chance after chance. And Raggett's obviously central to that centre-back central three.
Yeah, he is. 100%. He's in the air. He's outstanding. There's no doubt about it. And he didn't have a bad game, particularly given the amount of time that he's been out. You know, he's been out for a long, long time. He's come back and played a full 90 minutes. See, credit where credit's due. I think he's a decent backup, and that's as far as it goes for me. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. I think he can head a ball. That's it. I genuinely believe that is just. It's only my opinion, but that is just about the sum total of his abilities. If you watch him closely, and I said this to you. I don't know. I think it was after the post match. If you watch him very, very closely, he struggles to kick a ball. He genuinely struggles to kick a ball. He doesn't. He has to control it, look where it is, and then pass it every single time. And that is not how a professional footballer should be playing. It should be second nature. The ball comes to his feet and it should be gone. He has to look where it is every single time. I just don't think he's good enough. I'm not arguing that he had a good game yesterday for what it's worth, but I don't think he's the answer to any other problem other than we ain't got another fit centre-back. I think that's the only question that he is the answer to, quite frankly. He did well yesterday, but for me, he wouldn't be seeing first team if there's two more fit centre halves. Not at all.
To play devil's advocate to that is, Mick, do you not think that somebody like Sean Raggett is a bit like Woody, is a good somebody great for Lenny to learn off? Because Lenny's got better skills. Lenny's been much, much better with the ball, but he has to learn how to be physical. He needs to learn how to be physical, how and when to be physical. He needs to learn how to defend properly. So from that point of view, it might be really good because his leadership and his experience, although he's limited in football ability, his experience should rub off on the youngsters, hopefully pretty well.
I think the only comparison between Raggett and Woody is that they both got heads. That's it. You know, as far as footballing ability is concerned, as far as being a centre half is concerned, I don't think they're in the same league. They're not even in the same group of leagues. Woody is way out in front. Yes, but he's experienced, and I feel like I'm calling him and I'm digging him out and everything else. I'm not. You know, he's worked really hard to get where he is. He's a professional footballer, and there is a level that he can play at. I just don't think it's this one, personally. And again, it's only my personal opinion. But yes, you're right. You know, people like Lenny will learn from him. You know, there are attributes, there are things that he does well that Lenny could copy, and he can help him to learn that. But ultimately, he's a backup. That's as much as it is. And yeah, I don't necessarily blame him for that goal yesterday. Yes, he should have got to it. However, should never have got in that position in the first place. And given the amount of time he's been out, it's going to be a bit ring rusty. So
yeah,
we needed to be looking after him defensively, and we didn't.
No, he didn't get the support he needed for that. Definitely not. Johnny still says, Sean Raggett calendar for Mick for Christmas.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I feel really bad because I feel like I'm digging him out, and I'm not. I'm just giving you my opinion on where he sits in the team for me. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just, it's just my view.
Yeah, that's fair. A few people mentioning the referee, which we'll come on to. Phil says it's not the defeat, it's the manner of that which alarms the fans. He said, there's no need for hysterics, but there is far more difficult sides to play this season. Need far more strength in the middle of the park to dictate play. Yeah, but then I asked you this on the instant reaction yesterday about the type of teams that for some reason we always struggled against. And it's always been Gareth Ainsworth's teams. The way that Gareth Ainsworth's teams play and other teams like that, we've always struggled. And Stevenage, that was Gareth Ainsworth would have been proud. He'd have been so proud of that performance. And we've got to find a way. And that's, I know Mick criticised Stevenage a little bit of this yesterday. I'm not criticising it. If that's how they're going to get, if that gets them to playoffs, that'd be amazing. So I'm not criticising it. But from our point of view, we have to get better at that. It's been a problem since warning, where it's maybe before that. When teams come to dirty the game or dirty up, we've just got no idea, have we?
No, and from watching the extended highlights, sorry, I didn't watch the game. I was at work all day. The way Stevenage went about trying to break us down was the dirty tactics. It was slowing the game down, ball over the top, running onto it. And we didn't, I'm not saying we don't know how to deal with it, but we didn't deal with it effectively. It's like that their goal comes from a breakdown of one of our plays forwards, which leaves space on the right-hand side, ball into the box, more or less a free header. But again, we're not going to dig out Sean Raggett because there's a multitude of things, and the 1-0 up. But that's how they created chances, certainly the highlightable ones. They just kept breaking down that little back three, ball over the top, someone latches onto it, ball into the 6-yard box, someone tries to latch on to it. And there's one chance where, bless him, Rafferty gets old manned a little bit, and their player, I think it may have been who came on for Campbell. Whoever came on for Campbell for there, it may have been Patterson. He just completely just breezes past him and gets the ball into the box, and it's a dangerous one. And that possibly could be job number 2 at the training ground. Learn how to effectively deal with that. Learning to effectively deal with balls into the box is the first one, because I hate it when we concede from that. But secondly is learn how to break down teams that come to mucky the pitch. Learn how to get a result the ugly way. Don't rely on pretty football to win your football matches, because i.e. Stevenage, they've won 2 games by playing that style of football. It's no disrespect to them, fair play to them, but Alex Revell must have had Gareth Ainsworth in his ear telling him how to do these things, because it was perfect. Stevenage got the win, fair play to him. We just need to know how to not go to that to win football matches, but learn how to effectively deal with it, break it down, and find our own ways through it.
Yeah, we do, Sam, because that's the frustration, Sam, that Stevenage were at home. You expect them to probably have more of the ball. You expect them to be more attacking and everything else, but you expect us to have a spell, especially when we're chasing the game from half an hour in, whatever it was, a spell where we have a few shots on target, a few clear-cut chances. There was nothing really. There was that one chance that kind of got fluffed towards the end where McWilliams everybody in the 6-yard box, but that was only, again, half a chance. I thought Stevenage defended it pretty well. We just lacked any sort of edge or composure. Composure is the word I'm looking for. We lacked any composure for that full 90 minutes.
It was so painful to watch. And with them tab teams, the worst thing that can happen is they go in front. Yeah. Because if we would have gotten it to goal, because it could have gone either way for the first 15 minutes, it could have gone either way. If we would have scored first, they need to play football because they can't time waste. They need to go for it. And then we could probably score another one because they're chasing it. But when you go 1-0 down, we didn't have a plan for it, I don't think. It was the second balls, I think. It sounded like at times we're like running in treacle. So like trying to catch the balls, we just sent second best every time. And I think that was the problem. I can't put my finger on what was going wrong and how we could have overcome it, to be honest. We were second best in terms of winning every ball. And then I think he went out for a throw-in about a billion times in the first 10 minutes anyway. I feel like they just kept on keeping it near pitch, and he's going to go out for throwing and just breaking it up that way.
Yeah, they did. Steve says they did go down consistently, especially in the last 20 minutes. They also overran us in midfield up to our subs. It wasn't just a Wycombe win. Yeah, that's what Wycombe did. I think we're all down. Anyway, let's not go down that road. Mick, let's just do the ref stuff. Let's get the ref stuff out of the way. It was just a bad ref. Like, there's not more to it. I just think he was falling for their tactics basically every single time, and we weren't getting similar ones. It was just a poor referee's performance.
Yeah, he had a bad day at office, didn't he? It's only his second game of the season, I guess, like ours. So, we can sit here and criticise our team. We can sit here and criticise ref. It's early doors in season. Frustrating, really, really frustrating, because the least you expect is consistency, and there was no consistency yesterday. Interesting about the goalkeeper thing. Just moving on with it is refereeing related. The 6-second rule that allegedly is going to be implemented this season. To be fair to their keeper, he wasn't hanging on to it. He wasn't really pushing the boundaries. But there were numerous occasions where he was still in possession of it in double figures worth of seconds. So almost 100% more time than he should have had it. And nothing's done about it. So it's quite clear that we're not going to be doing anything about that this season, despite the fact that we said we were. But overall, I thought he had a dreadful game. He had an awful, awful game. He bought every single thing, every single tactic that Stevenage employed. He bought it. He's going to have to do better, isn't he? And I'm sure he will. It's like I say, it's early doors in season. But it was a very, very, very poor performance from him and from us. Listen, also, his performance didn't lose us the game.
It didn't help.
It didn't help.
The stop-start nature didn't help, did it?
No, but, there are a couple of times, he got to it by, I don't know, about 84, 85 minutes when one of their players went down, and he immediately caught Trainer on and sent him off the pitch. Yeah. He should have been doing that from 5 minutes onwards, but at least we got there eventually. The shocker. He had a howler.
YouTuber's Mark says we had a penalty shout that was in the second half. I watched it back. I was sort of the time. I thought he's gone out kind of like this. I thought his inside arm, not his back arm. Would anybody like to disagree with me and tell me I'm stupid, or what do you reckon?
Well, talk to Birmingham.
Yeah. Okay.
It's either a penalty or it's not. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what the handball rule is, quite clearly. If it's headed from a few feet away onto your hand, that's not a penalty. But then the following day, if it's kicked onto your hand from a few feet away, it's not a penalty.
The hand I thought was against his chest.
Yeah, listen,
I think it's fine.
Right, fine. But who knows? Because it's been given before. You look at the Champions League final. Very similar. Where it's given by VAR. Who knows? Nobody understands what the rules are. So, for me, it's not a penalty.
Can I throw in a cat amongst the pigeons with this handball thing?
Absolutely.
For watching the replay, it hits, like you said, Matt, his right arm is up in the air. And if it hits that arm, it's straight away a handball because it's outside the thing of his body. So it actually hit, but it doesn't hit his chest. It hits his left hand, which is inside the outline of his body. So it's a bit, that could have been called either way, So I'm kind of in the middle with this one. It's like with me, you've seen them be given, and I reckon if there was VAR, heaven forbid, it would have been given because they would have looked at it far too much and gone, yeah, that's an handball. But in the split-second decision-making, they have to make in League One, which, by the sounds of it, this referee was incapable of doing without falling for any antics, he's technically made the wrong decision because I think it should have been a penalty.
Yes, and I think it's one of those where if the referee gave it, I don't think the player could have had too many. I understand why the referee didn't give it, and I can see it. But if the referee decided it was a penalty, I think the defender almost gave the referee a decision to make with where his arms were.
Yeah, 100%. And that's it. His arm were out. and the referee only has one glance at it, so you couldn't argue if he did give it. And on top of his performance, he owed us one anyway, I think, for the amount of times they went down for no reason. He definitely owed us that. But there was another penalty call after that.
Yeah, it was in the melee of the chance, I think.
With Williams?
Yeah, I think so.
See,
I couldn't see clearly on that. Exactly, we should have won game. What's somebody complaining about?
That one could have been given as well. But this is a ridiculous state of affairs. This is where we are, isn't it? We're now debating whether it's handball or not. As it is hand in area, yeah. That's it. Why can we not just make it that simple? Because then it takes away any of the argument, any of the controversy, any of the difficulties for the referees. It's all gone. It's all done. We don't have to have this debate for 90 out of the 92 Football League games of a Saturday. This happens, or 80 or whatever it is. There's loads of them every week, week in, week out. Why do we have to have it? If it's his hand, it's in the area, it's handball, it's a penalty. Done. Okay. Why? What's wrong with that? Why are we doing this?
Anyway, let's move on because I'm sure people are bored of handballs. Referee talk. And there were plenty more. I was going to say there's plenty more times we can talk about this. Kelly says, sorry, chaps, got to disagree regarding we don't know how to deal with these tactics. We have more possession. If you can't keep the ball, if you keep the ball, they can't fall down, can they? Yeah, but that's essentially it. For some reason, it's always been the case. Well, it has been a long time. We haven't done that against those teams, and other teams don't do it against these teams as well often as well. Blackpool last week, they fell into the same trap as well. If it was easy as that, everybody would do it. I'm not particularly defending us because our performance was poor, but it's easier said than done.
Can I just jump in? I don't think it's necessarily a thing of out possessioning them. I think it's a case of we don't know how to break them down because they have the sportsmanship tactics of falling down and winning cheap free kicks and everything like that. But it seems teams that play to that ilk are so organised in terms of we've lost possession, sit in your shape, that we don't know how to break it down. And that's what I was insinuating, that we don't know how to deal with it, that we don't know how to break them down when we have the possession. It's all well and good having 70% possession if you can't break through certain teams, and we can't break through certain quote-unquote Gareth Ainsworth sort of teams, and that's the thing we need to learn how to do.
Yeah, no, Jordan, where we have Rotherham United, we don't get any breaks from referees. We're back in that. We got a few soft decisions last year. I think we're back under getting nothing. So
yeah,
normal service has been resumed. Let's go through some individual performances, Mick. There are a couple to pick up on, sadly not positive. Let's start with Dan Gore, because I know you weren't particularly happy with him last week, but for the most part, I think everybody agreed he had an okay game. This was a game where, and again, it may be because of the organisation of Stevenage, that his frustration was very obvious from very early on. He didn't get a foot on ball. Again, not just him, but I think his inexperience shone like a beacon yesterday. And in the long term, it's a good thing. He's learned for the future, but he had an absolute stinker yesterday.
I wouldn't. Well, I don't know whether he had a stinker. He just didn't impact the game in any way, did he? I suppose that, given that's his job, I suppose he had a stinker on that basis, really. You're right. His inexperience just shone through. He'll learn. The inexperience for a lot of players shone through. You know, some of the more senior players as well. So he'll learn. He will learn, and he will get better, and he will be an asset for this football club while ever he's here. There's no doubt about it. But he's not got off to a great start for the season. But neither are the rest of them, to be fair, with the exception of that first half against Port Vale. So, yeah, not great. Not great. He was a little bit lost, to be fair.
Yeah, and the good thing, Danny, we'll come to injuries for other areas of the pitch, which are blindingly obvious, but the good thing about midfield is there's plenty of movement to go around there. Yearwood came on did quite well. McWilliams did a similar sort of job to Gore. Maybe not as technically good, but we've got options in that midfield to actually mix it up at the minute. So if Gore does need time out because of inexperience, it's going to be quite. We've finally got some options in that area, except Josh Benson, obviously.
Yeah, we've got plenty of rotation in midfield, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because that's where, in theory, with a 3-5-2, the majority of your traffic is going to be going through. unless you result to balls over the top, which don't seem to work when we try and do it this season. But anyway, so with Benton out and Gore having a little bit of a stinker, there is plenty of option there. So if someone's having a stinker, we can actually make the sub. But it also highlights how thin we are in other places as well, because we can't actually make those subs and rotate it a little bit. But no, so midfield is like the one place I'm not kind of worried about this season, because we have plenty of rotation there, which is very good.
Yeah. Steve says, I like Gore and I like Powell. Gore was anonymous and Powell was constantly caught in possession. Yeah, it was just one of those days, I think, for midfield, Sam. And if you're going to be good in this league, or good in any league, you're going to have to feel strong midfield, and your midfield has to be on it. And if your midfield's not on it, if you don't keep possession, you can be on that. And I know, and Kelly as well. That was a poor game from Kelly as well. All three of the midfield. If one of them had a bit of something, I think we have a bit of success. But all three of them were just off yesterday.
Yeah, I think they set the bar quite high in terms of the first half of it for Vale, in terms of them playing together. But they were all. I didn't mind Powell's performance, actually, because there were a few times where he just driving with it, and they fouled him, and he still managed to get the ball back and keep on running with it. But when Dango ran it out, there were no tackle where he just ran it out. I'm like, no, we can't be having that. But yeah, I was impressed with Yearwood when he come on. Really impressed with Yearwood, because he's got a red card in him, though, I reckon. I think he's got a red card in. But he seems very composed, like in terms of he knows what pass to pick and stuff like that. He could slow it down and pick the right pass. And then there's Benson, bless him, who
I know.
Yeah.
I'd say it's unbelievable, but it's sadly believable.
We were warned by Barnsley fans, weren't we?
We were. I hope the good. You'd expect that's been built into a deal, though. If he's getting, you would expect heavily appearance bonuses rather than a basic wage, but I don't know. Steve says, and I'm surprised Powell is still on set piece. We had three 6-footers in the box yesterday, still in the first man, and not just him. Dan Gore took some shocking corners as well yesterday. I'm surprised at that. I thought we'd be better at set pieces. Like only 2 games in and maybe time to work on it. I thought we'd be better straight away from set pieces, particularly yesterday. But anyway, somebody else to talk about, Mick, is our only fit striker, John Hugel. He is again coming for a little bit of stick, which I'll be honest there, I am surprised. I didn't think he was brilliant, but he was no way the worst player on the pitch yesterday by no means. But he's coming for a little bit of stick again. I don't know what you think about it. Again, it didn't impact the game. But how many players have we just gone through that didn't impact game? I don't think he was the worst by any means.
No, by a stretch of imagination. I mean, he up front, he didn't get any service. No. He was absolutely ragged about. He had his shirt taken off his back, I don't know how many times, and just ignored. There was he was fouled so many times. And he didn't go down, he didn't throw himself to the floor, but he needs some protection, and he's not going to get that. That's quite clear. Or that was certainly didn't get any yesterday. That was made perfectly clear by the referee and his linesman. They weren't looking after him in any way, whether his shirt were off his back or otherwise. So he had his work cut out there. I thought defensively he got involved quite well. There were a couple of defensive clearances that he made that he wouldn't have even been back there last season, let alone making those clearances. So yeah, I'm really surprised that he's got a bit of stick on social media, or am I? Probably not, I suppose, really, when you think about it. We've got to have somebody to blame, haven't we? We've got to have some scapegoat, it would appear. And it's John Hugel this week, amongst others. So, no, I thought he played all right. I thought he played all right. Nothing sparkling, but he certainly weren't worthy of any sort of huge criticism at all. For me, anyway.
No, I agree. Tom Swift says Hugel needs service, something that is non-existent so far.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree, Danny. And the difference is with Nombe has got the legs and the pace to go and get the ball and move it up the pitch. Hugel can't do that. He just doesn't have the skill set to do that. But if you actually create something for him and put the ball in a situation where in an area he is good at, he will have that impact. But there's nothing coming from midfield or the wide areas to give Jordan Hugill anything to do at the minute. I think he did as well as anybody else yesterday. Is it me or Danny that's gone?
It's Danny, I think, that's gone.
Well, to be fair, he's lasted nearly 41
41
minutes.
Yeah.
No,
He's back. He's back.
I'm still here. I just lagged. It's fine. But I think Hugill did the best that he could, given the limitations that he had in terms of, like Mick said, with the service and just not getting it. He did all right. But in theory, that's the service you should be getting by playing 3-5-2. You have your wing backs who are able to get up to the opposition's final third, get balls into the box, and serve your big centre forward. And then you've got the player like Nombe, who has the legs, like you say, Matt, to be your second striker and support, and they can support each other that way. But if there's no service, there's effectively no Hugill. There's no, there's no point in being on the pitch, which is a bit harsh, but in terms of having an out-and-out centre forward, there isn't if they're not getting service. But no, Hugill did the best that he could with what he had to work with. And so I'm not overly cautious that he's our only fit centre forward. It's not worst thing in the world. I'm a bit more worried about the striker who lasted 20 minutes, truth be told.
Yeah, no, I agree. But what I would say is if that's how we're going to play, which I don't think we are, if you're going to play like that, there's no point having Jordan Hugill on your team. You need to play to his strengths a bit better. And I expect we will going forward. Another argument to this, Sam, would be that he just needs a goal. He's not scored I don't think he's scored this year. I think I saw on Twitter earlier. So he just needs a goal. He's a striker. We know how much confidence strikers are. And if he gets a goal, hopefully, that'll put him on a much better path, hopefully starting Tuesday.
I can't remember last time he did score, actually. I feel like it's not... I feel like how he's played, it's not really his game now in terms of his control and laying it off to whoever when he gets the ball. There's no one better than him up front for that. So I feel like he's kind of adapted really into just because I don't think he's been a prolific goal scorer at any club that he's been at, has he?
Not really.
No. But when he does, like you've seen it against Southampton and Preston and stuff like that, he's got an absolute screamer in him. And to be honest, he did well in Virtual Trophy last year, didn't he? So he's just preparing for that. The Bristol Street Motors King.
Exactly. The last goal he got.
I do love him though, but there were a lot of people going, "Oh, he's going to be player of the season. He's going to bag loads of goals." But then the same people have thrown him straight under the bus when he's had one. It wasn't even that bad, and they've thrown him under the bus. Don't get it. Exactly. I really don't get it.
No, I don't. And if he scores two next week,
it'll be best thing ever.
Yeah. Last goal was the 26th of October, ironically against Stevenage last year. So yeah, he needs a goal. He's desperate for a goal, and he should have had it. And again, that and having not known that stat last week, talking about that chance that he fluffed against Port Vale, that makes a bit more sense in there. Is there anything else we want to talk about? We're going to briefly talk about the Salford game. There was a comment actually I wanted to bring up from Martin Burns. A fascinating interview with Matt Hampshire after the club. Talk about where the club is. We all know it, but he can't say it. I get the sense we're seeing a change at the top. I just thought it was an interesting point to bring up there. He's honest in his interviews without calling people out. I think I thought it was a decent interview. Anything else you want to mention from the Stevenage game, fellas?
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about the injuries, can't you? But we're just basically going over old ground there, aren't we? You know, it's Rotherham United. Football season started. We've got an injury list. That's there we are. So on the upside, what it will probably do is keep Sam Nombe here till at least January.
Probably,
and all that.
Yeah, it's exactly what I said in the pub last night. I said, it's a Hampshire masterclass this. Get Nombe injured, keep him out until the end of the window, so then no one will sign him. And then he'll have a run, and then he'll be injured again in January, and then we can have another run until the season. Job done.
I feel like Tom East did something similar, didn't he? I think he was always injured around transfer window as well.
Yeah.
Masterclass.
he did. Yeah, exactly. What that does mean before we go to the Salford game, though, if Nombe is injured, it's a hamstring. Best case scenario, if it's a hamstring strain, you're looking at least a couple of weeks. That's best case scenario. We have to bring in another striker. There's no ifs, no buts, and maybes. I think he wanted to bring one in anyway, but we cannot go into September with Hugo, Atete, Coyote, who's never fit, and McGuckin, who's got experience. We can't do that if we're going to have an okay season.
Me?
Yes.
No, you're right. We can't, can we? He's already talked about the fact that he was looking to bring more, and at least one more striker in anyway. So yeah, I think there'll be more movement before the end of this transfer window, and we'll all be going, oh, that's nice then. When we bag 4 next Saturday against Cardiff or whatever it is. I mean, or we get spanked 4-0 by Cardiff and everybody melts down again.
I'd say that Reed from Stevenage now.
He's been around for a year. I'm surprised, with all respect to Stevie, I'm surprised somebody else is not taking him because he's been consistently at one of their top performers. Sorry. I like him a lot.
Cole Stockton,
Yeah, always. Yeah, he can't be up to
us. For the past 10 years, we've been linked with him, so may as well carry on.
Exactly. Steve says maybe the Talbot, Yearwood, and McWilliams were much more competitive. Paulo was asking what's happening with Spence. I think was it 4 to 6 weeks? I think it was. So we'll still be a little way away from that. Salford game Tuesday, Danny. Second competitive meeting between the two sides. The first one coming in a League Cup first round fixture, which we lost on penalties. That was in the COVID season when we were in the Championship. Does the game on Saturday put any more meaning on Tuesday, or is it still just about gaining match experience for under Matt Hampshire and everything else, or what?
I would say, given our current situation, it's just getting minutes into the players that need it as potential backups. Funny enough, that our first meeting with Salford was actually around about my 21st birthday, which is quite scary. Bearing in mind I'm 26 at the end of the month. But yeah, I think with Nombe potentially being out, with Atete out as well potentially, and probably resting Hugo for the following Saturday, we'll probably see McGuckin up front potentially with Holmes just off him, because Holmes hasn't made an appearance yet this season, to the best of my knowledge. So I think that's our 2, which maybe puts Holmes a bit further forward than what he wants to play, but no needs must. I think probably Raggett might have to start as well, unless you go for Lenny at centre-back and then another person on the left-hand side. So yeah, it's to echo Macam, it's not threadbare, but it's nearly there. So I think we'll change as and where we can. But otherwise, it's just building up the fitness of other people, because certainly on last season and from the Port Vale game that I managed to watch on Sky, we look a lot fitter this season already in terms of running around and going after the ball. It's just going about it in the way that suits us best, rather than just running about after the ball and chasing it. We need to play that to our advantage, and it'll maybe get in fitness into other players as well.
Yeah, IFC cases. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that number and how we're going to set up Tuesday. And I think Danny would be right about Hugo not playing, but I don't see what we do without Hugo. I think Hugo now has to play, which becomes a problem for Saturday, which becomes a problem for next Tuesday against Burton, which becomes a problem for the Saturday after that if we don't get a signing in there. It's a problem, and you could put Jack Holmes up there maybe, but then you've got a hell of a lot of inexperience.
Yeah, you see, last season he didn't play league, did he? And we only played him in cup matches normally. So we've never really come across in terms of managing his minutes, because he's getting older. There's only McGuckin, another striker, isn't there, really?
Yeah.
There's that Martha as well, isn't there?
I think he can play up front. Yeah.
Yeah, but him and Holmes or him and McGuckin up front, a lot of like height and build about that front two there if they had them two. There's no one else really. I think you're gonna have to play Hugo. You'd have to play him.
Yeah, I don't see a way around it unless there's something pulled out of the bag transfer wise tomorrow, which is unlikely. Scott Kent said the lads need a boost, win the game, don't get into a losing mentality because I don't see us getting anything at Cardiff, Mick. This League Cup is a useful competition. It's maybe not as useful as the Virtue Trophy, but because of the youngsters you can get coming in, but it is useful to get Martha some proper game time and hopefully then feed him into Saturday. And it would have been good for Tete, although he would have been matched. It wouldn't have played Cardiff anyway because he was on loan. So it doesn't really matter as much, I suppose. But it is important, and if you do win, it then can build a little bit of confidence on there. It's just got to be a decent performance. The worst thing that can happen is a stinking performance, and we lose. You've got to see some of that creativity come back on Tuesday night to hopefully build that confidence to Saturday.
I guess it depends what the manager wants out of it, doesn't it? Not necessarily what we want to supporters, but what the manager wants for him and his team. And I mean, obviously they want a decent performance, but they need minutes in the legs. They need tactically they need to be getting there together, and that's more of the stuff that he's going to be interested in than the result and everything else. So. It's important. It is important. It's more important given the last three halves of football that we've played and the performance levels that we've put in. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter so long as the manager and the team get what they want out of it. But they have to get it out of it, and in order to do that, they're going to have to buy into it. So, yeah, I don't know. Ordinarily, I look at League Cup and think I'm not really interested. But I feel as though, given where we are, it's a little bit more important than normal. I've got no more than that, really. It's not. I'm not going to get out of bed if we lose, but I would like to see, and I'm sure I would like to see a much improved performance.
That's the most interested I've ever heard you talk about the League Cup ever.
Yeah, well, yeah, only because I'm. I don't know why, but I get it. It really gets me down. Reading and listening to all, and I'm going to say this, and I know people are going to laugh, but I'm going to say it anyway. To the negativity around the performance levels, given we've only had 2 games, and I accept before anybody starts spouting off, I was extremely negative last season, but not after 2 games. Not after 2 games. After 20 games where we never saw any improvement. So, if we're 20 games in and we're still doing the same things, I'm going to be as negative as I were last season, but I don't think that's going to be the case. But yeah, I just shut people up. Let's get a performance in, and if we can sneak a win, but let's see an improvement.
Yeah, that'd be nice. RUFC Cases screams Swansea away in the second round. Yeah, that sounds about right. Alex James says, join late, but can imagine what has been said. Overreactions glow, make me happy not to be on Twitter anymore. Saw us like yesterday, we went won the first 2 games since 2011, 2012, exactly. Been a long old time. We've had some really good seasons in that time as well. I was just thinking this. John Phillips says the cup game, we've got opportunity to see Ted can a goal. It would have been, Danny, and I agree, it would have been interesting to see that, but we need to get some fluidity about this team as well. And Cam Dawson, as much as I don't think he's been that bad, he hasn't been perfect in these last couple of games. So I would still stick with Cam Dawson just to get him playing, with everybody else in and around that's going to be available going forward as well.
Yeah, that would make sense because, like you say, get the fluidity into him, get used to the back 3 that's in front of him. However, just looking back at various cup competitions in the past, we have tended to rotate keepers just to keep the number 2 fresh as well. So I see where I'm coming from, saying put Teddy in goal, see what he can do. Yeah, fair enough. But I'm actually going to lean to more towards what you said, Matt. I would actually keep Dawson in goal and have Can in goal for the Virtue Trophy fixtures. Because at this early stage in the season, as much time into Dawson as possible would do him more favour in the league. Because as much as I'd love to go on and run in the League Cup, and we were in the first final and this, that, and the other, it's not a competition we're going to win anytime soon. So I'd keep the fluidity rolling through with Dawson, save Can for the Virtue Trophy, and just change where we can in the outfield positions rather than in goal.
Yeah, the prize is not all special either. You get more money getting through to knockout rounds at Virtue Trophy than winning first round at League Cup. So it's not great. So doesn't add extra incentive to win it, but you're also on the performances. Harry says Dawson seems like a confident keeper. If he has a good performance on Tuesday, he should do well in future games. I'd start him. Scott Kent, Cameron Dawson's very decent at penalties as well. He absolutely is. Nick Newsom's actually corrected Ted Can up front is what we should be doing. Makes perfect sense.
He'd win a few hours.
He would, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It might be quicker than Hugo as well, which should help us with a bit of legs up there. So let's just finish on a couple of score predictions. These don't count towards our prediction league, which we are doing, but we could take them anyway. Mick, Tuesday night. I think it goes straight to pens. I don't think there's extra time.
Yeah, I think it will go to pens. One apiece. I'll go with one apiece again, I think.
Us on pens or them on pens?
Them on pens so that we can have another meltdown.
Okay, fair enough. Nice and positive, Mick. Nice to see.
Yeah.
Sam?
Yeah, positive, didn't
2-1 to us.
Okay,
Positive.
more like it. Yeah, more like it. I'm going to go 3-0 to us.
Oof.
Hugo's been a flat track bully, isn't he? As we said with Virtue Trophy. So if they don't go full strength, Hugo's on it, I think.
Yeah.
And Danny.
Um, 1-0 to us.
1-0 to us. We'll take that. Harry says 1-1, as does Paula. Both going on. Harry's saying us, Paula's saying them on penalties. YouTube user 2-1 to us. Scott Kent says a win on penalties 2-2. Farmward saying a 1-1 as well. I think it's one of those games where there isn't a great deal to talk about. So if there's anything else anybody wants to talk about, feel free to chuck it out there now, because ideally be positive, because like I said, things are negative over the last 24 hours or so. No.
I'm a big one today, away from home. Still putting pressure on that top spot. I mean, it's unlikely, but you never know. One slip, so that's a positive from my point of view.
Okay.
I don't know what started as well, actually, with the mass brawls on pitch. Like, I've seen it quite a few times now. There were Plymouth and Barnsley, weren't they?
Yeah.
Ipswich and Birmingham, and then us and Stevenage at one point. I'm thinking, what? It's like the new thing. This like mass brawls on pitch.
Yeah, the commentators seem to have stopped saying, "Oh, we don't want to see these scenes." They've stopped saying that finally, because nobody actually thinks that.
No,
which is good to see. Other than the fan getting on involved, we don't want to see that, obviously. Yes, as Scott Kent says, games on Tuesday, Sky Sports Plus. Martin Holland's testing me now and asking me who the referee is for Tuesday, because I did check that, but I didn't feel like it was worth noting down who it was. But if you give me 30 seconds, I'll see how strong my Wi-Fi is, and we can see if we can.
It'll be better than mine, let's face it, Matt.
I mean, that's not hard, is it, to be fair, mate? Edward Duckworth is the referee. I feel like I recognise his name. Having done this before. I think.
I'm assuming that you're not going to be doing the podcast on Thursday night from that same room, then, Matt, because are we playing Cardiff next week?
Cardiff on Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, you've got your badge on that wallpaper behind you, so
that's a swallow. Not a bluebird.
Like a bluebird to me, but anyway.
Is a swallow a bluebird?
I don't know. That's blue and it's a bird, mate.
No, this is anyway. Mr. Duckworth refereed us twice last year. Bristol Rovers, the away win with some number somehow scoring, and the 2-0 home loss to Birmingham, which was the easiest game to referee in football in history, I think. Anything else, fellas?
No. No, it's a disappointing
Yeah.
start to the season, but it will get better, I'm sure. And if it doesn't, we can moan about it, can't we?
That's what we're here for.
Leicester let me down on Fantasy Football League as well. I use that chip where you pick all 7 players from like the same team. Picking
Did you do
guaranteed
Leicester?
6-0 against Wednesday. Guaranteed. No.
Yeah, I have. I'm bottom of the Fantasy Football League. I've had 29 members. I am 29th. I'm like 20 after 2 weeks. I'm like nearly 30 points behind the next person in the league. I've had an absolute rotten time so far.
I set off like a rocket, and I thought I'll be clever and pick up Leicester players, and then bottled it today.
Yeah. Right. Make sure first of all we did the instant reaction yesterday, me and Mick. So if you want to go and check that out, Mick is the sour grapes. And sour grapes are great to watch. We all know that, whether it's for in your favour or against you, we all like watching sour grapes. So go and watch Mick be upset yesterday because I enjoyed it. If you're a Steelers fan, you will get really upset. We're not going to do instant reactions to the League Cup unless we get like a serious game later on, because I'm on holiday. I'm not spending an extra night on holiday doing this. So there will be no instructions, but we will be back on Thursday evening, which will be a quick review of the Salford game and a look ahead if the draw's been made. And then we go to another away game and to Cardiff City, who I think are on 6 points. I think. So what could possibly go wrong? Make sure, if you haven't done so already, make sure you've subscribed, because the numbers are shooting up on there. If you're watching live, give it a thumbs up. If it's not live, give it a thumbs up as well. If you're on iTunes, Spotify, wherever else that may be, make sure you give us a follow, 5-star rating, whatever it allows you to do as well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Danny. It's been a pleasure. We will see everybody next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Comes for more. 2 for Jensen, 2 for Rotherham. Shoots! Ravel, vicious, but brilliant! The sweetest feeling for Rotherham United. What's got round the back? And Richie Wood has done it again! It's done! It's Georgie Kelly!
Do me a favor, drop me off.